What's up, everybody? Welcome to the Dark Blue and Robert Patton. Welcome back. How are you?
Excellent. Thank you so much for having me back on, sir.
Yeah, man. Thanks for joining me again. Actually, really looking forward to doing a bit of an update with you from our first episodes that we did together, or episode that we did together with the Dark Blue. Um, your episode is actually on our top 5 listened to episodes. So, yeah.
The bump from the CEO, Robert Patton. Thank you.
Well, yeah. So, guys, if you don't recall, Robert is the CEO of Sheath Underwear, our merch partner and friends over in Colorado and here in San Antonio as well. So, Robert's just a really great dude and just doing the work to be a better dude. And always glad to have a conversation with him. And so, here we go. You ready to do this?
I'm very ready. Thank you.
Awesome. Yeah, I'm ready too. I've got my beer, non-alcoholic American light with grapefruit. I'm pretty excited.
I'm gonna have to try that. I have coffee and this kava. I don't know if you've tried kava, but it's
Oh yeah.
It's a anti-anxiety sort of thing. But I'm not really having too much anxiety, but I am preventatively taking some.
Yeah, that's the goal, right? Is the preventative stuff. So
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Light here. I'm gonna tone that down a little bit. Is that too much?
I like your chair. You're the boss.
There we go. I think that's better. I like that. We'll stick with it. Anyway, I need to get a camera like you, man. I'm finally starting to put out some episodes on YouTube, and my camera quality is just not great.
Well, it's just a Logitech 4K, desktop whatever. It just connects to your what are those things called?
iMac.
Fucking UPC or UPC.
That thing.
Yeah. The cord. No, whatever. Fucking hell. Edit that out. Just kidding. I don't care.
No, we're gonna
UHB. UHB. What in the fuck?
I don't even know what we're talking about anymore.
The cord that you plug in like your phone.
USB.
Fuck.
Oh, that one? Okay.
We settled it. I was so close.
There it is. So yeah, I also have my protein smoothie here. Got some plant protein and raspberries and bananas and ashwagandha and cacao, all the good things. So
I take AG1 Alpha Athletic Greens. They rebranded it. Yeah. What?
How do you like that stuff? Is it good?
I like it. Yeah, just really, if I'm feeling kind of lacking in something and I remember, it's like got all the vitamins in one, and it tends to pep me up a little bit. If you do it every day, I feel like it's a little overkill, but definitely a few times a week.
Cool. That's good to know. I that's like the main advertisement I get on like Instagram and TikTok, and I'm just like, these guys are everywhere. Are they actually worth it? So
the worth it problem is I didn't tell you how much it costs, and it's kind of pricey. It's like $100 for a thing, like a packet, and it might supposedly last you a month, but I just think I'm like, and then you get on their auto subscription and they start sending it to you every month, and now you got 10 bags of it, and I'm just like, okay,
yeah,
let's tone it down.
Yeah, that's way too much. Then they do that without even telling you, so you have to like go into your account and find this little box that you have to uncheck that says subscribe me, and it's like, come on, this is too tricky.
They don't want you to unsubscribe, but some of them are pretty cool now, where they will send you a text and it'll say, hey, you have a shipment coming in 3 days. Do you want to modify, change?
Yep.
Push it back or whatever. And so I like that. I think that's good customer service. It gives them the option to skip a shipment or whatever.
That's definitely helpful. I did that with Imperfect Produce for a while, Imperfect Foods, and they would just like send you, or they give you the option to schedule it or whatever, and then if they sent you one you didn't want, they'd just be like, that's okay, we'll refund you. So yeah,
that's nice. Yeah,
Yeah, but anyway, I mean, I don't know if you, I mean, I've told you a little bit about it. I've been cutting back a lot on drinking, but I still love the taste of beer. So I've been
Yes.
like, this stuff right here is super refreshing, and they keep improving non-alcoholic beer. I feel like every new company that comes out is doing it better. And it's like I can still get the taste of craft beer without actually drinking the alcohol. And this stuff is just really doing the trick for me.
When I was doing sober October and dry January, we tried to do April, didn't quite make it, but I'll drink the Heineken Zeros,
Oh yeah.
and they're pretty good.
Yeah.
Although I think I might be allergic to something in there, but I'm with you on the chilling, on the drinking, because I feel like it's negatively impacting my health overall.
Yeah,
Uh,
yeah, for sure.
so I'll have a beer though. I love beer, so I'll have a beer,
Mhm.
and then if I want to drink wine, I'll drink wine. But otherwise, and this isn't a hard and fast rule, but I'm trying to drink less beer because it actually raises your heart rate.
Mm.
And living up in the mountains at 8,500 feet elevation also raises your heart rate. And a couple of the other things I do raise your heart rate. And so I'm like trying to find it, and I can tell the difference. I monitor my sleep with in
Oh,
my biometrics through my bed, which is a Sleep Number bed, which I
oh, cool.
recommend.
That's
And
awesome.
yeah, so it tells you your heart rate, breath rate, and this other thing, and heart rate variability. But
Okay.
I've noticed, but that my heart rate through the night when I drink two or more beers is like closer to 80, and I'm trying to get into the 60s, you know. So, and I noticed when I don't drink that I got a 69 the other day.
Oh,
So,
cool.
yeah,
Wow.
yeah,
Congratulations.
I know.
Yeah, I think
Okay.
I read somewhere recently, I think the number was like 70 is kind of the average for guys in our age range. And
Right.
so yeah, so it's pretty solid.
Yeah, I'm trying to keep that down. And also, what I've noticed that works is the sauna. And I've
Okay.
been sauning pretty much every day. I've owned a sauna for 5 years,
Yeah.
and months and months, 6 months would go by, I didn't use it. And my wife started using it recently, and so I started getting in there. And that has also been very helpful in my heart rate variability, my sleep.
Cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's great. I know when came up to visit, it was just really nice being able to just wake up and go down and get in the sauna for a few minutes and start the day that way, you know. It's pretty cool.
Yeah. So, but now I'm starting my day with the ice
Nice. Bath.
plunge,
Mhm.
cold
Yep.
plunge, about 40, between 45 and 55 degrees, 5 minutes. I do pretty regularly, a little bit extra. I'll stay in there. The timer goes off and I don't just jump out. Sometimes I do if it's
Gotcha.
like just killing me, but I've gotten more acclimated to it, and I'm also feeling the benefits of that. What I was doing, and I'm sure you've heard of this, is the con- contrast therapy, where you go from the cold plunge to the
Oh
sauna.
yeah. Hmm.
What'd you say?
Oh, I said, oh yeah, gotcha.
Yeah. So going back and forth between them. But what I find is that I listen to Dr. Andrew Huberman
Okay.
on Rogan and his own podcast, but he talked about how you want to let your body either cool down naturally from the sauna or heat up naturally from the cold plunge. And what I deducted from my own experimenting is that when I go from the cold plunge to the sauna, it's like cheating, kind of. It's like it warms you up real fast. And so you don't get to go through the natural process of shivering and
Yeah.
baselining your body temperature. And I'm just finding I'm getting more benefits. So what I'm doing is I get in the ice, cold plunge, get out, go run a few miles, come back, do whatever. And before this, I did yoga and meditated every day, pretty
Yeah.
much. Meditation every day for sure. Yoga is not as frequent, but I do not miss a day of meditation. But then And last night, for the first time, I actually got in the sauna at night, around 7 p.m.
Uh-huh.
And I felt like that was pretty helpful. Instead of doing it in the morning, do
Mhm.
it before bed. And so I'm gonna see how that goes.
Yeah, I've heard it's really good to start off the mornings with the cold and then in the evenings with the warmth, and it helps to calm your body down and lower your cortisol at night before you get in bed. So yeah, it's really interesting how all that works, but it's I'm glad to hear that it's been working for you.
Yeah, well, you just corroborated my experiment results, because I'm finding so far that I'm feeling the benefits. Whereas when I was doing like the contrast, I don't know if that's the exact word for it, therapy, going back and forth in between the two.
I like that word. That's a
Yeah. Well, because it's contrasting temperatures.
yeah.
It's not conversion therapy, because that's turning you from gay to not gay or
Yeah, we're
whatever.
definitely not doing that. Yeah.
Yeah, and I thought, and I was like, is that it? I don't know, whatever. But am I gay? Am I not? I don't know. But I wasn't really feeling like benefits from it. I was doing it and I'm like, ooh, look at me. I'm doing these things. And that's what a lot of people want when they do the ice plunge
Yeah.
on Instagram. Look at me. I'm doing this hard thing. And
Good for you.
I know, yeah. So, but I'm doing it because Joe Rogan said to do it, for one, but
Yeah.
also because in like his explanation about dealing with stress and putting your body through stress before life stress can kind of get to you. It's like a preemptive stress builder, or stress tolerance builder, I guess.
Yeah.
So
Gotcha.
yeah.
So I'm actually really curious because like I know you work really hard to better yourself physically, mentally, all that kind of stuff. And so I'm kind of curious, what actual benefits have you noticed so far? Because you've been doing the ice baths for a while. So what benefits have you noticed from doing that regularly?
I'm definitely deal like less I have less anxiety. Although that waxes and wanes from time to time, but it's building up my kind of like ability to deal with difficult things without over analyzing. And this may or may not be true, but when you're about to get in, it's like, oh, I don't want to do this. Oh, you're pacing, and it's like, oh, let me
Yeah.
clean my room first real quick. Let me clean the bathroom, and just procrastinating.
Excuses.
Yeah. So I now, for the most part, I just don't be a bitch. Just get in there. You're what you could have been in and out by now, and you're over here debating the benefits. Is it even worth it? What am I doing? Nobody's watching. Why are you trying? Who are you trying to impress?
Yeah. But it do you, I mean, but you're noticing that it's actually helping you mentally throughout your day then.
I have it gives you kind of like more, it gives you a burst of energy. It gives you a little bit of, yeah, like a mental clarity,
Mm,
but it's mostly like, I think the energy, I'm not feeling like exuberant. I'm not feeling like I just did a line of cocaine, which they say you'll get this flood of endorphins and dopamine. And I don't know, it's relatively subtle. Maybe I'm not staying in long enough. I'm
mm.
doing 5 minutes though, plus 5 minutes plus, and maybe I need to do a little bit longer. And
Yeah. Or
but
maybe it's just like a long-term thing too, like I mean everything else we do, it's you can't expect results right away, and I think that doing that more long-term and getting your like adapting your body to that and noticing that you're adapting to it and you're getting more used to it, that is definitely a good sign. And I think I would be surprised if it's not affecting your physical and your mental like connection throughout the day the more you get used to that.
it's a trip. It's almost easy now. One thing I think about is when you eat fish, for instance, and you don't want to eat the skin, but you
Mhm.
see that little bit of brown meat in between the skin and the white meat. That's brown, fatty tissue or something. I forget what the exact terminology, but it helps with cold and heat tolerance, I guess. Have you heard of that?
I haven't, but it makes sense though. I guess it would be kind of that barrier to the fish's body, right? To
Yeah.
elements.
Yeah, and it helps you deal with cold and heat. Fuck. The words are slightly escaping me, but it's
So are you saying you've developed a layer of fat between your muscle and your skin?
I think so. I think I'm developing it, over the course of these past few years even. There's I live in the mountains of Colorado. It's get the block of ice that I or the tub of ice that I use. Jesus. The tub of water turns into a block of ice during the winter. So it's kind of hard to use. But I still do. I'll break that shit up. And I got in on Christmas Day and it was mostly these huge blocks of ice.
That's
And
insane, man.
yeah, that'll really get you. And sometimes you can only stay in for 30 seconds, maybe a minute. But typically, if you go to a center where they have a cold plunge, the temperatures will range from 45 to 55 degrees.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
yeah.
I'm actually about to do your iceberg challenge here in next week. I'll do your iceberg challenge at one of those places here in San Antonio that Matt from Sheath actually goes to as well. So
Evolve
yeah,
Fitness. Yeah. And that's the place. That's one of the places I was referencing. They have the 2 cold plunge tubs that are like super pro, and like all of the influencers that you see on YouTube are promoting. I saw Bryce Mitchell he's a UFC fighter. He they they sent him one. He had it in his front yard, was not hooked up. He ended up just putting ice and water in it, which he's just like using it instead of connecting it. He
yeah,
just
letting it do its job.
yeah, he just you did it the old fashioned way, which is kind of funny. And then I went to JP Sears's house, name drop, and he had one that was sent to him from some company he didn't pay for. And it was also just sitting in his front yard. And I'm just like, that's why I don't want to order one of these things, because
you don't think you'll use it?
I know I'll use it, but like, do I need it? I have a tub in my front yard. It is 100 gallons. It goes all the way up. I fit in nice and comfortably. Go to my Instagram at Bobby the Bank. You'll see. That's most of my posts is me getting an ice bath, it seems like.
And where you're living too, it's like doesn't it always cold in the morning when you get in? Like you don't
right.
Really,
that's the thing.
Energy, the electricity on it if you don't need to.
No. And it's then where am I going to put that? And now it's got to be inside, because if I leave it outside, it's going to freeze.
Right. Yeah.
So
that doesn't sound worth it.
So this is interesting.
I would really like to get to the point where just think people send me free things like that, like that's definitely the dream for sure.
That's
right?
The vision. Yeah. I have my Robert Patton Global podcast channel.
Yep.
Bobby the Bank Instagram. I do it because I want to inspire people, like I would love, I guess, to have my more followers and but it's like, why are you on the social medias? What do you want? Attention? Do you need attention, or you're not getting enough? And I don't know exactly. I've just been doing podcasting since 2012.
Yeah,
like honestly, on and off. My first podcast was with this guy Kairos, Kicking It with Kairos, and it was kind of like just Joe Rogan, and it was called Mushroom Tea. Did that. Kind of fell off the radar. I actually did mushrooms on one of the episodes, which was pretty cool, actually.
Okay, that sounds interesting. Yeah,
just one of them. But and then everybody has a social media account for the most part. I don't know, but I'm doing these things and I'll show myself achieving some feat, but obviously that's not all day every day. I have anxiety when I wake up in the morning. I have anxiety when I go to bed at night. But during the day, I'm doing everything I can to reduce that.
Keep the anxiety away.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I think that's the thing with social media is like, yeah, we can get on and inspire people and that sort of thing. Like, I think there's definitely the difference between people who are looking for the clout, they're looking for the attention, versus somebody who wants to actually like help people, right? And help
yourself.
help yourself and help others want to, find inspiration and improve themselves as well. And it's you have this vision, this image of you online. And I would bet that, a lot of Sheath customers feel the same way, where they see you online and they're like, oh, Bobby's like this guy and he's like, this is who he is. And, but then actually meeting you in person and being around you for a few hours is just like, oh, this is completely different than what you see, and it's finding that balance, I think, is so important. And like, also on the other end, as a consumer, knowing that like, yeah, people have regular lives that they live, and kind of avoiding putting people on a pedestal, and it's like this kind of give and take, I think, that we play with. And the more, I don't know, maybe I'm wrong on this, but I feel like the more your goal is to just inspire people, the less or the harder it is to actually get that platform, grow that platform, so you can inspire more people, right? Because it's just that, from what I've seen on social media, that's just not the content that people are looking for. But when they stumble across it, they're like, oh, this is great, I want to get more of this, right?
I just thought of this, but if I was like a hot chick with a big ass, big tits, do ice baths, because then you get the best of both worlds. Because people do, for whatever reason, like seeing the suffering of getting into an ice bath.
Yeah.
And then if you're hot in the process, then you're going to get more. That's how you grow your audience.
Yeah, for sure. And that's the whole reason that we try to get hotter by doing exercises and and eating well, right? That's
Yeah,
the whole point.
well, and you want to feel good, I did just buy this new contraption. Let me know if you've heard of it. It's called an X3 workout system. It
Not.
was recommended to me by Hari, who is this yoga guru type dude out of LA. And I bought it over Christmas, and then I returned it because I was like, you know what? I have these dumbbells. I have a gym membership. I don't need some other new workout.
And an
thing.
entire national park you can run around in.
Yeah, exactly. So, but for whatever reason, what do they call that? Retargeting. They retargeted me with some ads on the socials recently, like 3 days ago, and I was like, you know what? I'm gonna buy this thing. It's $500. And but when I returned it, they refunded me, which I really appreciated. That made me feel good about them as a company.
Yeah.
And
Yeah,
purchase. So,
yeah, for sure. It's the customer service sometimes is really rough, especially with Instagram purchases like that, because there are so many companies that aren't real. There's a lot of scam companies. There's a lot of companies that are just the what's they're calling fast fashion now, where it's just like these cheap products that they send you that just aren't really worth it. And it's like sifting through that and finding a company that actually takes good care of you is a pretty good feeling, for sure.
Yeah, so sometimes I'll buy something I'm seeing on my Instagram feed, and I'm like, oh, that's a cool sweater or a cool joggers or something, and I'll get them, and then like 3 months later, completely forgot I ordered it. I get this thing from China, which I'm not knocking China per se, but it looks good, but then it doesn't last long. These particular items that I buy.
Yep. The first time you throw it in the washer, it's just all messed up somehow, strings everywhere, or shrinks or something.
Shrinks. Yeah. So you don't ever wash it. It's like a one-time wear type thing.
Yeah. So, well, honestly, I mean, that's a really good transition into what I really want to talk about today, as far as business and mental health, right? Like, you've been in business for a number of years now, and went from just an idea to a multi-million-dollar company, which is a pretty big deal. And I've heard you tell your origin story on a number of podcasts and things of that sort. And I would like to get into a little bit more about like where you are now, like where that whole process brought you to, as far as a business owner and your mental health. Like, it's like I was saying earlier, we, I know the whole Sheath crew as well as myself, we work really hard on, you know, mental toughness, physical toughness, and learning how to better ourselves all around. And I know that personally that translates into my business as well. And I see those, when I'm working harder on myself, my business is running better too. And I'm wondering if you've noticed that same trend as long as you've been in business.
Wiz Khalifa has a famous line in my head, anyways, and he says, "The more I smoke, the more money my business makes." And so I smoke weed, but not all the time. Gotten a lot better about that, because there can be an abuse level, and I was definitely on that, abusing marijuana for
Mhm.
a decade.
Okay.
And ever since this past January, October, which I completed for the first time, then I
Yeah.
did it just really brought my baseline back down to a level where I feel like I'm not abusing it.
Mhm. Of
When I
course.
do smoke, I'll smoke a few times a day, but not 6 or 10 times a day.
Mm.
And I'm smoking less. But what where I'm at, we have grown the company. This is our 10-year anniversary,
Mhm.
as an
Congratulations.
thank you. Yeah, that's a big deal, because like 95+% of all companies do not survive 5 years. So if you
Right. Yep.
pass that, you kind of get social validation, and we've marked our place in the market, or whatever. So we got that going, but we also, as for whatever reason, you can never, as a company, you can never be stagnant and be happy. You always have to be growing. you
Yes.
know
Mhm.
it's a weird mentality. Maybe it's American based, or that capitalism, but I'm never satisfied unless I'm seeing progress.
Yeah.
And we hit our peak in 2021 during COVID.
Mhm.
We really liked COVID. Bring it back. But just kidding. Send
People
everyone
just
home
clicking on their laptops. They gotta buy stuff with instead
with
of
the
can't go anywhere. Gotta buy things instead.
yeah, and the government's going to supply you money in the
Yep.
process to fund your shopping. And we liked that. But we had also been experiencing a trend from the beginning, or at least 2013, that we doubled every year in growth, revenue growth annually. So all the way up into 2021, we doubled it. I'm
Yeah.
going to tell you the numbers: 30, 60, 120, 250, 500, 900, 2 million, 4 million, and then
Big growth.
3.6
Yeah.
or whatever. And that was 2022. So we went down in 2022. Or in 2023, where are we at? Are we flat? Are we going back up?
Mhm.
It feels like we're going back up, but I can't be sure, because actually looking at analytics says we're going down more, but we're also in a recession.
Mhm.
Inflation is happening,
Yeah.
and I have a team that you know, I don't take care of them. I don't support them. They support me, but it's a win-win, mutually beneficial relationship. But I have a level of responsibility, I feel, to them,
Mhm.
to make sure that, their paychecks are coming. And
They're living
so,
well. Yep.
yeah, it's so that's a little bit of pressure. And when your company's numbers are going down, you have to start figuring out ways to make sure they are taken care of.
Mhm.
Everything else can go by the wayside, but it's also operational expenses when it comes to production,
Yep.
shipping, and customer service. All this we do pretty much in-house. But then advertising, we donate to charitable foundations such as Into the Dark Blue, Movember, and more. Doctors Without Borders, and a few more.
Yeah.
Um,
All great things and very very important, and yeah, definitely that's what I have always really admired about you as a businessman, is like the way you support your team, make sure that they're taken care of, and the way that you support others as well, and being in partnership with you over the last few years, I've gotten to see a lot of that and how much you guys prioritize those things. And it's really important to me as well, to take care of other organizations that are doing well, and make sure people are in a good place, and so yeah, it's good to see that. It's good to see that example from what's technically still a small business,
Hmm.
and so yeah, it's pretty cool. I've always enjoyed seeing that from you guys. So
Yeah, well, you are doing something very positive in society today, on the level, maybe not quite Jordan Peterson level, but in that vein of men's mental health awareness, and like kind of basically saying you're good enough, like you can do it. That is not prevalent in society. It's more like bash everyone over the
mhm.
head when you get a chance, because maybe that makes you feel better. But we need a little bit of encouragement. I thrive on encouragement. I mean, now put me down, tell me I can't do something, that's another level, which I will also thrive. But if, my wife or my daughter or someone tells me, you can do it, that really makes a huge impact. And I feel like a lot of people never hear that.
For sure, yeah. And I don't know about you, but I'm the type that when somebody tells me I can't do something, I'm just like, the hell I can't.
Hmm.
And I'll push even harder to get it done, just to show people that I can. And so that's in essence a form of encouragement for me, but that's not the same for everybody, right? Like
Exactly.
some people really struggle with hearing things like that, and it's like this kind of constant just tearing people down that we see so much now, especially with the social media stuff, right? Where you don't see a face behind whatever it is you're saying. It's easy to lose the humanity in that gap, in that technological gap, right? Where you're just like typing a comment to somebody, and it's really easy to just make somebody feel terrible. Um, so
Yeah. So my point, I guess, was that I appreciate what you're doing, and we're very proud to be a part of your um, mission. And I know you, we donate to your cause as a company,
mhm,
and we hope that helps. I know it doesn't, like,
tremendously.
yeah, it's not
Yep.
having you in a private jet or anything, but it's kind of maybe buying some bread and butter.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. Yep, helping us definitely grow what we're doing. And it's even over the last 4 years, getting to know you guys and watching your company grow, I've seen from the outside, I've seen this correlation between you and your team, like elevating their personal lives and their as individuals, and the business elevating too, and it's been really cool to watch that process, because it's just like you said, constant improvement, right? And I've worked for companies who don't improve, and they're very much like, this has always worked, so why change it, right? But it's not working. and and they don't necessarily see that. And so I really have been able to like see the difference with your company, where you're able to see and be like, okay, well, this isn't working, this isn't the best, and like always pushing for that level of greatness. And I see you doing that individually as well, and that from the outside, that correlation is pretty impressive.
Thank you. I try. I'm always on that self improvement, self help books. I was into Tim Ferriss way back when. He's kind of like disappeared because he's making probably so much money, and so many people want to be like affiliated with him, which I
Mhm.
also see in my like at my level, which is a microscopic compared to Tim Ferriss or Joe Rogan. But you have people, like, I get hundreds of emails, maybe that's a day, slight
Yeah.
exaggeration, and they all, have you gone on TikTok? We can 10x you, or hey, we have this
Yeah.
up and coming star, up and coming podcast,
Right.
fighter, comedian, whatever, athlete, they want sponsorship. Everybody wants something, and that can be stressful, like
Mhm.
telling people no or telling them yes, only to find out like, oh, this isn't working. Now I have to break up with you as a,
Yeah.
in terms of our relationship as
Mm.
sponsor and sponsee, and which hurts
Yeah.
if I like them, or just even if I don't even know them. But it's like, I have to tell you I can't give you this money anymore.
Yeah.
And I know you're probably counting on it because we're all, in the same economy, and it's all pinching us,
Mm.
whatever level you're at. So that can add a level of stress. But so I do all the shit. I take my vitamins every day, you
Yep.
know. I now that it's springtime again, and even when it was winter, I was going to the gym, but now I'm running, a
Mm.
few miles. I just watched this movie, amazing. It's called The Iron Cowboy. It's like a documentary about this guy. Stop me if I told you this. He ran 50 Ironmans, which is a triathlon that
Yeah.
includes a marathon.
Yeah. It's like
Uh,
running, biking, and swimming, right?
yeah, exactly. But the running part is an actual marathon. And then the biking is like 100 miles, and the swimming is 2.4 miles. It's like way longer than a normal marathon triathlon, which I want to just do a triathlon after watching this. Iron Cowboy, check it out on Amazon Prime. But the reason I even watched that is because a guy went to one of his speaking seminars and recorded it on his phone. And I
Mm.
watched that. It's on Steve Sato YouTube channel. Very good channel, friend of mine. But he posted this talk, and during the talk, the guy is describing what he went through, the challenges and overcoming. And I was, crying, but inspired crying.
Yeah, for sure. That's
Uh,
cool.
it was so cool. And to see someone doing something at that level of degree of difficulty and persevering, it's
Mhm.
like, dude, you have no excuses. But it like inspired me to get back active. I might try to do a triathlon.
That'd
So
be
I'm
cool.
running. Yeah, it would be cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Nice, man.
Yeah.
That's yeah, that's really cool. I love things that are inspiring like that, that really just like keep us going. And I think that's such an important thing, is to seek out those things, right? It's like it's so easy to seek out mainly entertainment, right? We have so much entertainment around us, some that's available. And I think it's easy to get lost in that and almost use it as a vice, and it's the importance of like seeking education is so big, because no one else can do that for us, right? Like you can't tell somebody, oh, you have to go learn something, because they're just going to be defiant, or they're going to, not get out of it what they want because they're not choosing that, right?
Exactly. Yeah.
And yeah, so the more we choose those things, it's the more we're actually going to get from it and grow ourselves as well. So that's pretty cool.
Yeah. Speaking of growth and seeking out education, I started a new group. It's called Toastmasters.
Oh,
It,
cool. Yeah.
yeah, it's basically a public speaking improvement group class. They're all over the United States for sure. It's way cheaper than you think. I thought it was like going to be super expensive and like
Uh-huh.
really not convenient.
Mm,
Uh time, time, travel, I got to go do this thing. I
right.
got enough shit going on, but it's actually, for me, it's about 5 minutes from my house.
Okay.
The timing is a little off. It's 7:30 in the morning,
Oh, wow. Yeah.
but it's only like it is done at 8:30. Like they are
They're efficient.
done. Yeah, very efficient, and it's quick. It's well organized. There's a group of young overachievers, not young per se, but
Yeah.
men, women, but people who are trying to better themselves. And I have joined. I've been going since January ish. It's once a week, and I practice speaking publicly. Even though I've been doing podcasts for years,
Mm,
there's another degree of improvement when you practice a speech
yeah.
and put it out there and then get feedback. And have you tried it or heard of it?
I haven't done Toastmasters, but I've done public speaking classes through college. My business administration classes, we had to do things like that. And it made a big difference for me just doing that. And also doing the podcasting has made a difference because I listen back to things and I'm just like, I don't like that.
Yeah.
I say all the time. Why do I do that? I need to stop doing that. And so it's like these filler words, that I use a lot. And I am trying to catch myself more and more, and I'm noticing that progress, right? And so that's pretty cool doing the Toastmasters because I know they really help you learn brevity and clarity and keep
Conciseness.
thought process. Yeah, yeah, for sure.
Well,
And
but they also there's a grammarian in the group, and they will tell you if you, at the end, how many so's, whatever that you say during the conversation. And I feel like that's not necessarily a problem I have, but cohesiveness, whatever. It's like the direction of my conversation sometimes can go, it's very nonlinear and I'm all over the place. So having a direction in my speech, like basically like what it would be if you wrote a paper, an essay on a
mhm,
topic, you tell them what you're going to tell them, you tell them in 3 or so paragraphs, and then you conclude it by telling them what you told them.
yeah,
And I've only done 2 speeches, although I've talked multiple times, because they'll give you a quick little a table topic, they say, where you have to get up and talk for 2 minutes on, they're going to surprise you on the subject. And I do that, and that's way easier than memorizing a speech that's like 10 minutes long.
mm,
But I also think of it on a par level with comedy, who rehearse their routine, and they
yep,
say it over and over. I need to do my speech one more time, and then I'm going to do a new one. But I
yeah.
want to be a motivational, inspirational speaker, and I'm not. And I cannot listen to my podcasts. I mean, I need to, but it's so cringy. It's like, nails on a chalkboard. I'm like, oh, I can't. Ugh.
Gotcha. Yeah, I know. I have the same moments where I'm listening to something. Actually, I watched back our most recent episode that we did on RPG. I watched that recently, and I was just like, "Oh man, that was rough." I did not stand up to my own standards on that episode.
Yeah, you guys got to check that out. I kind of got a little raw, and I think we edited most of it out. But that was, I feel like I used you as a therapist on that particular episode. But but you kind of come across, there you are.
There you are.
You
Got it.
froze a little bit. Yeah, you come across as a someone that like you can kind of talk to, which is nice. You can tell things, and maybe it's by way of the um your mission, where you go to bars and talk to people, or
Mm.
well, it's okay, like, yeah, well, you are, I was going to say, can you explain what you do? But I assume everyone knows that's watching your podcast what do you do.
Well, actually, they might not, and that's okay. So yeah, basically, our goal is to, as a company, as an organization, is to really just help guys learn how to understand themselves better and how to build community more effectively, how to handle life's issues more effectively as well. And so we do that through building community, through talking to each other about specific topics, and just really learning how to actually speak to each other without holding back the things that we're feeling, provide that space, which is one of the things that I've noticed is the biggest issue, is that a lot of guys just don't feel like they have permission and they don't feel like they have space to talk. Because when I get in conversations with other men about mental health and give them and say, hey, tell me about you, what's going on in your life, and they know that that space is for them, they just like word vomit, and it's just
Yep.
they've been waiting for that, you know? And
Yeah.
so yeah, it's just really cool to see so many different types of guys open up about what's going on in their life. Everything from military guys to, just guys of all kinds of different lifestyles and backgrounds, and artists, musicians, all of this, like all across the spectrum of different types of people who just are holding all of this stuff in, and then having that moment, that space to just say, this is what I'm dealing with. It makes, you can just see the relief in their face and their body after having these conversations, and it's a really pretty amazing thing to see. And I've seen it all over the country for the past 3 years. I've seen it in professionals. I've seen it in, blue collar guys that are just doing factory jobs, whatever. I've seen it all across the board. And it's just, so our goal is just to provide space for guys to open up and learn about themselves. So
Yeah, I really appreciate that for them. And I, maybe wish someone had been there, kind of like for me at a previous point in my life when I needed that. I went to therapy, which you could do also, and maybe do in conjunction with this, like your meetup where you get together, have a beer, talk real talk with men. And yeah, so I definitely feel like you provide that space. And I feel like that's such a huge benefit to young, middle-aged men, older men, whoever. I think it's mostly men, but because I don't know, I just feel like it's an important mission. And so that's why I really like talking to you and being affiliated with your organization,
yeah, man.
Into the Dark Blue.
Thank you.
But so to carry on, I guess, with like kind of where I'm at and what I'm doing to take care of myself, because I it's like, this is an interesting thought potentially, so sidetrack. If, let's say, I never got out of the army or never left my office cubicle job, like I'm a mid-level manager in a corporate office, or maybe an officer in the army, is that enough? Would that have made me feel like I was enough? And I feel like I've created this multi-million-dollar global company,
Yeah.
but I'm still not enough. I'm still not enough. And so I think no matter what level you're at, you will never quite feel maybe like you're enough unless maybe you find Jesus. I'm trying to figure out exactly what provides a level of contentment.
Yeah.
And it could be your relationship. My wife, she's good, she's great. My daughter, you got kids, maybe that's where you get it.
Yeah.
But I think, go ahead. Well, I just think that it's going to come from some other inner peace. And I don't think, granted, you take a little bit of MDMA and you're going to feel like everything is all right. And, but it doesn't last.
Applying it after that, right?
Yeah.
And that's exactly a lot of it is like, we just in general, we can learn a lesson in some form or another, whether it's through medicine or through, education or whatever it is, experiences, we can learn a lesson, but it's so much about applying it afterward, and making it a part of your life. And I heard this, someone told a story. I don't remember. I was at a conference of some sort where he's telling a story about a person who hits a deer on the road, right? So there's I think they describe 3 different levels of experience, where it's like you can hear the story from somebody, right? You can be related, like as an outside party, you can hear it like secondhand, or you can hear it directly from the person it happened to who hit the deer, or you can be the person who hit the deer.
Mhm.
And each of those people is going to apply that story to their lives differently.
Mhm.
And I thought that was a really cool comparison, because it's like, if we're not having those firsthand experiences, then we're not as likely to apply them as soundly as we would otherwise, as we would if we were actually having the experience, right? And so anyway, I try to think about that, and I try to, as far as like being good enough and all of that. And one of the things that I've been personally been really working on, and you're talking about, the inner peace thing, and really trying to apply this idea that we are exactly what we need to be in each moment. And it's like, it's being that whole be here now concept, right? And it's,
Ram Dass. Yeah.
yeah, yeah, yeah. And so exactly. So, but yeah, applying that, it's like you can know it, that's fine, but applying it and actually making that a part of your persona and your understanding of the world is a completely different process.
Yeah. I mean, I'm listening to The Power of Now by Eckhart Tolle again. It's been like a decade. I used to live on his shit, like on his YouTube channel, because it would just give me this peace
Yeah.
with, and but now I feel like I've achieved a level of awakening where I am here now a lot. I do get caught up in my thoughts. I mean, maybe even more than I realize. But then what? If that doesn't do the trick, and make you quote unquote happy,
Mm.
being here now, which is basically, just turning off all the external thought loops that might be telling you,
Yeah.
you know, you're
Mhm.
not good enough. And that is the ideal. Just kind of like being like a deer or a dog, where you're just kind of like no thinking, just living,
Yeah.
observing, reacting. Um, so you said you were working on how were you working on it? What do you mean?
Well, basically, like learning how to actually apply the concept that, like, I am enough in this moment. I'm exactly what I need to be in this moment.
Yeah, but
Right.
you're telling yourself that probably. I'm good enough. I'm good. Now you're doing it again. Maybe tell me more.
Yeah, and that's, I mean, I think that's part of it is telling yourself that, is that positive self-talk,
I
right?
like that.
Yeah,
Okay.
and it's like it becomes more muscle memory at a point, right? Just like your ice bath, right? If you do it enough, you're gonna just start doing it naturally,
Hmm.
used to that, and that's gonna become, I guess, a part of your core more so than this out external thing that you're just like having to tell yourself, instead of letting in all of the negative things that you're like, oh, I'm not good enough. Oh, I need to do more. I need to keep going.
Yeah.
You know,
Yes. You got to stop the thought yeah, you got to stop those thoughts and replace them with the positives.
yeah, yeah,
That,
totally. And I
yeah.
think it's like having goals to progress rather than like expectations of yourself to progress to be a better person. That's one of the things I'm trying to get better at, because I, ha, just over the years have dealt with a lot of self-consciousness issues, and like things, just people growing up telling me that I wasn't good enough, that I wasn't good enough to fit in with everybody else. I wasn't good enough to be part of school, the school band. I wanted to be a part of the school jazz band, and the band teacher, instead of helping me get there, was just like, you're not good enough.
Mm,
And things like that just like kind of push you back into the backdrop, and you're just like, well, I can't do that anyway because I'm not good enough. So over the years, more recently, I've had to really learn to overcome those thoughts and be like, you know what, no, I can do this, and I'm going to do this, and
yeah.
replacing those thoughts with yes, I can, instead of no, I can't.
Yeah. Those are brutal moments in development when you don't make the team or you don't get picked for the team or,
Yeah.
band or whatever your goals were. I feel like if I had been able to progress in basketball, I would have avoided some of the pitfalls of not being, having my energy focused towards something relatively positive. I do think basketball is basically a waste of time at this point, but it's better than getting, the idle hands are the devil's playwork. I quit
Right.
dribbling and I started snorting and smoking
Mhm.
and drinking and being a fucking idiot. So um
Yeah, but
that
the lessons you learned from that too, though,
yeah,
that's, you know, it's like
yeah.
long term. It's like looking back on that, do you feel like if you hadn't gone that route, do you think you would have learned the things that you have learned so far?
No, I'm just expecting that I should have known without going through those experiences. I should have been born a baby Buddha and known all of these tricks of psychology. I do think martial arts is a great path for young men and women to develop discipline, self-confidence, and whatever. And there's no teams, so you're not going to get cut from that. I wish sometimes that I had gone like down that road. I
Mhm.
don't know what I was thinking. No, I was like, I don't know. I feel like that would have been so much more beneficial. But I developed that ex hobby, if you will,
Yeah.
around 20 and started doing it and on and off for the last few years, or 20 years, excuse me,
Yeah.
25.
And martial arts is great. It develops so much. I did a few years pretty consecutively in my 20s as well, kind of late 20s, mid to late 20s. And man, it developed my mind, my body in so many ways that I hadn't with anything else, with weightlifting, with,
Mm-mm.
just whatever other racquetball. I used to play a lot of racquetball, and yeah, martial arts is a whole different game. It does so much more for you than any of the other things that I've done before. So it's pretty cool.
Yeah, playing on the monkey bars. Another, so like, yeah, and there should be a martial arts class in school, and maybe if you're not into it, you have to do Tai Chi, which is just the
Mhm.
slow movement or something. But they don't really teach you stuff that's kind of good for self-awareness and um, peace within. They just teach you how to count and history, however they write it, and
How to produce. That's what they
yeah,
look for.
science, how to follow orders.
Yep.
But so another thing they should have taught and is meditation. And that, I guess I could, if I like, if we ended soon, which I'm good on time, but I would say that has been the most recent advancement in my peace within
Mhm.
development, and I don't know how often I've talked about this with you, but I was doing it for years, quote
Yeah.
unquote, just like air quotes, like listening to an app, listening to some lady tell me to be calm and breathe and
Mhm.
whatever. And that I've learned a new method. It's called
Yeah.
transcendental meditation.
Yeah. We talked a little bit about that last time you were in town. But
Oh yeah.
please, yeah, tell everyone else that it's a really cool concept.
Well, because I got trained about a year and a half, 2 years ago, whatever, a year and a half ago.
Mhm.
And but I'm like, yeah, I'll do it once a day. I'll do it for like 10 minutes instead of the 20 minutes. And I did find benefit from it. I really did. First thing in the morning, because I typically wasn't sleeping very well,
Mhm.
I'd get up and it would fill the gap of the lack of sleep, and I would kind of be good for the day, even though I'd still take a nap, quick nap. I haven't taken any naps since January,
Okay.
minus a couple days. But I've taken naps since I was 20 till 44, and now I'm 45, and I'm
Okay.
not taking naps because I'm doing this meditation now. Here's one thing that's weird, and I almost want to ask like the guru guy, like, am I doing it too much? Because I love it so much that I find myself doing it two, 3, 4 times a day,
Mhm.
and I'm pushing the 20 minutes to like 30 minutes, 45 minutes sometimes, and I'll be sitting there, and I'll be just like, thank you for. I mean, I say my mantra, but every now and then it's like, I don't know how else better to describe it other than like a constant orgasm,
Mhm.
which is a little less, obviously.
Yeah.
But it's like a mental orgasm.
Yeah.
That
Like kind
sounds
of
horrible.
living in that euphoria.
Yeah.
I mean, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
I
And I
totally get that. And being in that headspace and getting to that point where you can be in that just like that persistent euphoric feeling of just awareness, but also like not fully connected to the physical world at the same time.
I went and got a haircut yesterday.
Oh yeah,
See,
nice.
and
I like it.
I hadn't had a chance to meditate, and I'm like, you know what? I'm just not going to talk to the dude today. I'm just going to meditate. And I was doing it while he was cutting my hair, and I actually slipped into like a dream state briefly. I caught myself and snapped out of it, but that's I if I'm even feeling the slightest bit tired or irritated,
Mm,
I'm like, I need to go meditate. And it kind of, I almost hate talking about it. So I'm going to stop maybe soonish. One of these, telling every single person I meet, oh, you got to do this thing,
try meditation.
because what?
You got to try meditation, man.
I know exactly. And it's a tired old record, but it is so good. But it's, how sometimes you find something that works and then you tell everybody about it and then it stops working. I don't know if you've ever experienced something like that,
Yeah, definitely. Uh-huh.
but it loses some of its magic. And so
Yep.
and I notice that sometimes I'll go tell people, and then I my next 5 meditations are shit. And that's part of it too, is sometimes I'll be in it and I'm like, oh man, I'm not going deep. This is a surface level meditation. Oh,
Yeah.
this sucks. But the teachers of TM, they'll tell you that's fine, you know. And then I'll remember
By
that,
grace, right?
yeah. And then I end up slipping into it. And I'm like, some meditations are going to be light, some are going to be deep. That's part of this. I mean, you can't have a perfect meditation every time, because you might have just gotten into an argument, you might be hungry, you might need to take a shit. Sorry, I hate saying that.
No, it's true. Like it's like the body definitely is a barrier to the mind, like really getting into that place sometimes, and it's like this discomfort that we live in, and we're not eating the right foods, and our stomachs are weird, or we just feel tired, or we feel like anxious about other things we need to do, and it's really easy to get uncomfortable. And when we're trying to really separate ourselves from all of those things, or when it's for me specifically, when I'm trying to separate myself from those things, it's especially with ADHD, it's like my mind is just constantly moving, going back and forth, and it's just like it is really difficult sometimes to really separate from all of those physical thoughts.
Do you practice any meditation?
Not as regularly as I used to. I used to do it pretty consistently. And but lately, yeah, I've definitely gotten away from it, and I kind of sad about that. I really do. I want to start doing it more often again, because it is grounding, and it has in the past really helped me to get a hold on the ADHD symptoms, because like it's just being in that mindset just makes a huge difference. So
It's like a retreat from the world. And you need to give yourself personal time. Like a
mhm.
lot of us maybe are being pulled in 1,000 different directions 24 hours a day, and it's like, I need 20 minutes by myself, and just let me kind of like have this self-care or whatever, because I need it, and
Yeah.
it's really rejuvenating me. And my only issue right now is I might be doing it too much.
Mm.
But I like it, and I think I do it more during times when I might be having family visiting, or just e- extraordinarily extra kind of stressful situations. I do it
Yeah.
more. If everything's going smooth as a baby's butt, then I will do the minimum. But I'm not, even if everything's going golden, I still do the minimum, which is 20 minutes a day in the morning, 20 minutes in the afternoon. And I'm far exceeding that at this
Yeah.
point. And
What
and I
would you say? Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
no,
What would you say are the negative effects that you have from meditating? What you say is maybe too much.
I when I first started doing it, every word that you're trying to think of a word, it came to me like a lightning bolt. too easy. I was like, fuck, this is like magic. I'm like, my brain is on fire, it's cohesive. I mean, everything is popping on all cylinders. Now I'm like, damn it. I'm fucking like, now I can't think of words again sometimes.
Okay.
And I'm feeling like I'm a little bit spacey, like I'm almost going too deep and I'm not wanting to come back out to the real world or
Mhm.
something. I'm not sure. But
Yeah, I can see that. That makes sense.
yeah,
It's kind of disconnects you from the physical reality when you're in that more spiritual space too often. That totally makes sense.
here's another thing though. You and I feel bad sometimes because like I'll be hanging out with the wife or my mom and whoever, and like I'm like, I gotta go meditate. And I'm like, now I feel this guilt, like I'm leaving to go do this personal thing. Um, that is something. And then when you're done, you're supposed to give yourself 2 to 5 minutes to kind of like reintegrate back into this space.
Yeah.
And sometimes I'll just get up and go. And it literally feels like a gears out of shift in your brain. Like you're like, you really do need to give yourself that extra 2 or 5 minutes to come out slowly. And I don't always do that. And that can be like a negative kind of effect. But
Yeah, it's shocking to your system, or to my system anyway. For I've definitely, yeah, it's that happens. Actually, I spend a lot of time at my day job. I spend a lot of time in by myself in a very quiet space, right? And so I think I kind of accidentally end up in a lot of kind of meditative moments during that, because I'm alone so much when I'm there. And so when I'm done and I leave work and I say I go to hang out with friends or something, it takes me a while to get back into a more social, like aware of other people, and it I have to tell people often. I have to be like, hey, I'm switching from being at work by myself. Like I've barely talked to anybody for the last 8 hours. So now I've got to switch gears now. And so I actually have to communicate that to people, because I find myself being kind of distant and quiet when I get in the social situations again. And I've had people ask me like, are you okay? And I'm just like, oh yeah, totally fine. Just, coming.
transitioning.
Yeah, exactly. So
Sometimes and we'll wrap it up relatively soon, like 10-15 or whatever.
yeah.
When I first started doing these podcasts, I would be in the middle of a conversation, and this could be out, in a regular conversation, but I would like, my eyes would sort of glaze over and I would kind of just like slip into this like stupor of consciousness where I'm like, fuck, I'm in the middle of a conversation. I can't just be glazed over.
Yep.
And it still happens, but it happens so much less.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, that I feel like I'm definitely seeing so much drastic improvement from doing this meditation that that's why I keep telling everyone. But I think you also have to use it in conjunction with exercise,
Yeah.
and then other self-care, yoga.
Definitely.
What was the other thing? The ice bath and the sauna and stuff. But everyone can't do all this stuff, you know,
Right.
you
Exactly.
know. So
Well,
then what?
some things are free and we can do those, no matter where we're at and who we are. But, some things are expensive, and not just like they're not accessible to a lot of people. Or they don't have the space for an ice bath, or they don't have whatever it is. Right.
Yeah. Another thing I noticed from like a negative from meditating is I feel like I'm gaining weight.
Okay.
Like literally I'm like meditating for an hour a day at least, and that's time that I would have spent moving around at least.
Yeah.
But but I also get this charge from the meditation. So after I'm like, why don't you just go exercise then? So like I said at the beginning, is I've started running again, and I'm running, and I'm kind of going to try to push myself toward a triathlon or maybe a half marathon or something,
Mm,
because I
nice.
don't want to get fat. But
Got
you're not
yeah.
moving, you're just sitting there.
Yep.
Mhm.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, and it's the exactly the whole mind body spirit thing that we talk about a lot, you know.
Yeah.
It's such an important thing, and that's why, you know, we're very focused on that at Into the Dark Blue, is having that mind body spirit connection, and you know, working with you guys who are very focused on the body, and really, you know, that physical wellness and everything, and that balance is super important. So that's pretty cool.
Last thing I need to do, which I was doing and I've kind of slipped, been reading, which I'm still reading, but not as much,
Yeah.
and writing, like journaling, I feel
Okay.
like is so em- like enriching. Like when I'm really going through some shit, I'll write it down. Like I can't, I have to, like it, and when I say going through some shit, it's mental,
Yeah.
right?
Right. Right.
And I'm having this thought loop that's just fucking eating me from the
Yeah.
inside out.
Not
And
literally going through shit, thankfully, because that would be
um,
unfortunate experience.
dirty jobs.
Yeah.
But now what I'm doing, I'll write it out, write out that, like, just write out the thought. Yeah, this is whatever the thought is. And then I'll burn it.
Nice. I
Yeah.
love that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it seems to work a little bit for sure.
Yeah. Just get it out there, and yeah, it's a really good thing just to process it in a different way.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's poetry for me. It's always been that way. Like
Oh.
when I'm really struggling with something, I write poetry because it helps me to process my thoughts in a way that I wouldn't have necessarily, you know, out loud or whatever, just in a
Hmm.
conversation with somebody. But it helps me see the issue in a different way.
Hmm.
And I'm writing these like visuals, these pictures, and I'm coming up with this, like, this is what it would look like, as far as like this feeling looks like, whatever this imagery is, right, whatever this metaphor is. And so that really helps me to process the things I'm going through as well. So uh,
I had something else. So writing it, burning it, whatever. Journaling is, so you know, the mind, body, and spirit, like you said, you gotta kind of try to keep all those three pillars
yep.
on your, taken care of. And then the rest is, you know, up to you. And visualization, my daughter just graduated from college, and when I say visualization, it's in order to give yourself a direction to aim to move towards. She
Yep.
just graduated college, super proud of her. She cum laude, she was
Yeah,
working the
nice.
whole time.
Fast. I feel like you just dropped her off at
I
college
know,
like a couple of years ago.
it was so, it went by so fast now, but she got a job, and it's a cool job. It's a leadership program at the Gaylord Hotel, which is a fancy hotel. And
Cool.
but I was thinking, and if you're watching this, love ya. She's probably not going to, but like she took a few jobs that were available on Indeed or monster.com or something, and
Yeah.
she applied to them, and she actually got a job at Enterprise Rent-A-Car in another program that's supposedly like top of the line, but she didn't want that job. So I'm kind of retracting what I was about to say, but what I was gonna say is that she just took the one of, this job that was available, and then that was kind of like, I don't know necessarily that was her grand vision, but a lot of people, you just take what's available,
Mm,
and you're kind of, you're getting blown by the wind, so to speak, when direction you might are headed. So then that's fine, and we all have to do that in
yeah.
life.
Yep.
But in addition, try to give yourself
A
a
goal.
direction, yeah,
Yeah.
like a endpoint.
Mm,
And while you're doing what you have to do to survive in this world, try to break free from the control of, the economy or,
right. The world that we don't have a choice to live in.
yeah.
So yeah, absolutely. That's and you know, I've been doing that for the last few years, you know, that working
Yeah.
doing something that I make a little bit of money on, so I can continue to progress in building Into the Dark Blue and all the other things that I'm doing as well. As far as like building a career and creating something that's gonna help people, and it's like recognizing that it's like you have the things that you have to do for survival, and you have the things that you can do to kind of, like you said, take your life back, right?
Yeah.
And so yeah, and having that clear vision is super important. Really spending time to detail that out and be like, okay, this is where I want to be. So how am I going to get there? What are the steps I'm going to take to get there? So, and that's one of the big things we're talking about this year in the Dark Blue. Like our theme is actually the year of the new you. And the whole thing is setting goals and learning how to adjust ourselves, adjust our lives so we can reach these goals. So.
Well, write it out, put it on a vision board, visualize it, make it as clear as you possibly can, and have a positive attitude.
Yep.
And good things happen, and if you try and you don't succeed, you at least you tried and gave it your all. And sometimes you have to accept certain things about life, but I would just never give up and just keep going.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that's it. Exactly. It's like, even when you maybe have to readjust or try something new, but you just don't stop pushing for what you want.
Don't stop believing,
Yep.
the journey.
So I want to wrap up pretty shortly here. And so I'm gonna give you a quick assignment. You ready for this?
Sure.
All right. Toastmaster prompt. You have 1 minute to tell us to give a quick speech, a 1 minute speech about the biggest lesson you've learned in business since you started Sheath.
I mean, I guess to pick up where I just left off.
Got a timer here. I'm going to give you 60 seconds. You ready?
All right.
All right.
Okay.
All right. Ready? 1, 2, 3, go.
Okay. So when I was 20 years old, I came up with an idea for a key. It was a cool key, and it was like jewelry in your pocket. And I gave up on that idea, not within 6 months, because I ran into some obstacles. And what I learned from that was, because a few years later, I saw those keys on every key selection in Home Depot and Lowe's and Walmart. So basically, what I took from that and applied to Sheath was to never quit, because once you quit, it's over. And that is the biggest lesson that I've learned. Yeah. I mean, honestly,
that was pretty impressive. You did that in 45 seconds.
I'm practicing, and because you can figure out a way. You can always figure out a way. That's what humans do.
Yep, definitely. Love that, man. But there it is. There's your timer. Can always figure out a way. Don't give up. I love that.
Yeah. I mean, but one counter to that, and I got to go soon, but is I wanted to be in the NBA, and there was something, the universe stopped that course of direction or whatever, because I don't know, just biologically, I'm fighting against the laws of nature to be in the NBA. But I could have probably ended up as a coach or a ball boy or something, maybe an executive in an office somewhere, which would have been cool. So it still holds true in that, but I probably wouldn't have played in the NBA. But
like
anyways,
recognizing your limits and how you can adjust to still get what you want in maybe a different way.
Yeah, a little pivot. Yeah, potentially.
Like you do in basketball.
Yeah, exactly. It's a perfect word association.
So yeah, guys, just so you know, we've got Men's Health Month is coming up here, and we have I don't know if they'll be ready in time, but we have a new t-shirt collaboration with Sheath that's going to be coming out pretty soon.
I
And
hope so. They've been being made for like 6 months. I
I
don't know
know
what
it's been a while,
yeah.
hopefully we can get them for Men's Health Month in June. But be on the lookout for that. It's the design is based on the Shambhala, the Great Eastern Sun, the rising sun perspective of the Shambhala. So it's just all about having that understanding of your own basic good, so you can recognize the basic good in the world around you. And so yeah, that's what's going to be coming your way here soon.
I think it's a cool shirt, by the way. It's going to be the best shirt that we've collaborated on. So
Yeah, I think so too. Yeah, the dark blue one, I like the dark blue one, but I'm sure we had a lot of people who were just like, "What is into the dark blue? Why would I buy that?" So yeah, hopefully
it was good though. It was also cool, but this one's going to be
it
more
looks really cool. I
universal.
love that shirt. Yeah.
Yeah.
So super comfy too. Got that
Oh yeah.
bamboo material. Always a winner. So
We
what
got
else do you
lucky.
have coming up?
We got a new shipment coming in. It's going to replenish some of our old like stuff that we've been sold out of. We have a new women's line that's been getting worked on for 2+ years. That's
Nice.
finally in production. Rigorous focus groups on that.
Yep. I've been really excited about that because I've got a lot of women in my life that I want to be able to spread the word to. So
I know, yeah, because our current women's line is fine, but not great. So with that, we're going to be at Skankfest at the end of September, which is a comedy festival in Vegas. We're going to the psychedelic something conference in June here in Denver.
cool.
Just constantly, we're working with new artists, fighters, comedians. That was another thing. I'm doing art personally,
Yep.
painting, ceramics, mostly painting and ceramics, two separate things. I'm doing like the splat paints where you just like throw the shit like Jackson Pollock, and it's so fun.
Yeah, it is fun. It's great. You can just it's just like emotional. You can just like let go whatever you're feeling, get a little get a little creative with it. It's great.
I love it. What anything else for Sheath? Just go to sheathunderwear.com, check us out. We just got a new website and it's really user friendly.
Yeah, for sure. If you guys haven't tried Sheath yet, like trust me, it'll change your life. I know a lot of you guys listening probably have at least one pair in your drawer. But if you haven't tried it yet, check it out because summer's coming and it really helps to cut down on the swamp ass situation. So keeps everything separated so you're not chafing and rubbing. And I always like to compare it to switching from a studio apartment to a 2-bedroom suite. So
nice. These are I've had quite a few ideas. I mean, swamp nuts was something that I was like, do you know want like swamp nuts, but also what you just said about the upgrade. And then another thing I heard today, which is some people every year, January 1st, will throw out all their old socks and get brand new socks for the year. I like that idea for underwear. You should throw out all your old underwear, get a whole new wardrobe of Sheath underwear.
New year, new undies.
Yeah, that new year, new undies. That's funny. I could go on. There's so much like cool stuff that we're doing with different influencers, you know.
You guys are always on the move. So yeah, just be on the lookout. And you can always use promo code Dark Blue, get 25% off your order. And Sheath also donates 20% of that purchase into the Dark Blue when you guys use the promo code. So win-win.
And if you buy an iceberg pair, another portion of that proceed goes into the Dark Blue. So, and we still have a few thousand left of the iceberg pair. We're doing a iceberg ice plunge or cold plunge challenge where you can win $1,000, and it's going to be going on for the rest of the month at least. So I think if you get this out in the next whatever week, then there'll still be plenty of time, but you essentially have to buy an iceberg pair from sheathunderwear.com, use promo code Dark Blue. You don't have to do that, but do that, get the pair, do a cold plunge, post it on social, probably
30 seconds, right?
30 seconds, And yeah, if you do 29, we'll probably be fine. We're not necessarily timing you, but get in there, post it, tag at Sheath Underwear, and I think like a hashtag something. Just tag us at Sheath Underwear, and we will find it, post it, or share it probably, and then you'll be entered in. And honestly, I bet you there's not going to be more than 100 people doing it.
The odds are good.
The odds are really good, and it's cold hard crypto cash. We're gonna Venmo it or whatever, Zell it or whatever to you. So Perfect. It's real $1,000.
That's easy money. So you spend 20, 25, $30 on a pair of underwear and you might get 1,000. So pretty solid. But anyway, yeah. So as you guys know, all that money goes to good cause. What Sheath donates to us, that's all part of helping us build our network of men's groups and really help us to work on making therapy and things along those lines more accessible for men, more appealing and more affordable, and all of those things. So yeah, that helps us make all that happen. But as always, just huge thanks to you, Bobby. I'm really grateful for your friendship and your partnership and everything that you guys have going on. So thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Zach. I really enjoy talking to you, but I guess I gotta go. But check if you want to see more of me, go to Robert Patton Global YouTube channel, subscribe on our Sheath YouTube channel, and on the socials, I'm at Bobby the Bank, and you can say hi.
Yeah, do it. It's good stuff. Well, thanks a lot for being here, man. I appreciate your time.
Likewise. We'll be in touch.
Yes, sir.
We'll get those shirts
yeah.
Finalized.
Some so beer for the summer. Good stuff.
Do it. I'm gonna do skip. Yeah. If you hear about where to buy it, I guess you have to buy it at a store, huh?
You can probably order it. I'll send you links.
All right.
I'll even put the link in the podcast.
You should definitely do that for everybody else.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
Cheers.
Peace. All right, brother. Bye.